what's the most painful memory you've ever had playing for the Hammers?
Losing that semi-final.
Oh yeah, but really?
Yeah, even if I didn't come on in a way, but broke me heart, man.
Yeah, what we were talking about the last game at the Boleyn, and it felt like it was written in the stars. I felt like it was written in the stars, that Europa League run for your send-off.
Me as well, yeah. I started to believe that when we got, like you miss out Barcelona.
Yeah,
it was like catch-22 for me. So I'm like, I want to play at the Nou Camp, obviously.
Yeah,
Barca in my last ever season.
yeah,
and then when they lost to Frankfurt, we're like, actually, we might have a better chance. You don't know, but we knew Frankfurt was a good side. But yeah, it was heartbreaking, honestly, and obviously we were sending off for Cress, and then they scored, and I was gutted, like honestly gutted, but it was still an incredible run, incredible achievement. But that was for me was the saddest moment. I mean, when we got relegated under Avram, I had hernia surgery, so I didn't play the last 4 games. So it was like I was a part of it. Of course I was, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, and I felt like at that time the club needed a sort of a restart and a refresh. So when I look back now, it wasn't probably the worst thing that happened to the club. But losing that was just so sad. So I say so funny. I was fucking, I had tears coming down my face in the dressing room, and I was looking at Ben Johnson, and he was broke. And then you take that, and I was gutted inside, of course, but obviously Cress got sent off, and I see him, and he was absolutely distraught. And I said to Dave Martin, obviously a big West Ham fan, we were standing there together, and we were both so gutted. And I said, right, so at what point do we hammer Cress here? Because like, not as in, but as in, like, let's lighten the mood a little bit. We're out, like there's no point dwelling on it.
Yeah.
So I went and sat next to him.
Does that lighten the mood for him?
I didn't give a shit. And he had like the towel over his head, and he was sitting there, and you could tell he was like. And I looked at him. I went, "You all right, mate?" And he went, "No." I went, "At what point do I fucking hammer you, geese?" And he went, "Oh, not this early." And I went, "No, shut the fuck up." Because he done it to me in the book. You haven't read it, have you? With Arnautovic.
No, go on.
So we we lost in the last minute against it, one game, and I'd had enough. And so I thought, right. So a lot of the time as captain, I'd done it on purpose to get a reaction. So I walked in the dressing room, and we'd just lost, and I started fucking hammering. Like I started like shouting and hollering or whatever, and I thought, and I already knew I'd pick on Marco,
right? Because
I know he's going to start back. There's no point shouting at someone that don't shout back.
Yeah, you just needed to sort of get that off your
Also create so all the boys.
Right.
I mean? Like to create a sort of reaction.
We should care about this.
Exactly. Yeah. And
who was this against, Mark?
It's Wolves at home. Do you remember we lost under Pellegrini?
I can't remember.
1-0 in the last minute.
Yeah, I do remember it. Yeah. Was that Adama or something? He come on as a start. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started having a go or whatever, and then I dug Marco out, and I knew because he's a fucking madman, right? I love him to bits.
He does seem like a madman.
Mate, I love him to bits. Yeah. You have to know Marco because, like, he has this personality and persona of Marco Arnautovic and all that, but he's fucking unreal, mate. Honestly. So I started digging him out, and he got up, mate. I swear to you, he's like a big bear. And I thought if he comes at me, he's gonna fold me up like a pretzel. You know what I mean? So we've ended up having a fucking proper go at each other. It's just the reaction I wanted. You know what I mean? So everyone, anyway. So it's all everyone's jumped in the way of us and all that. And I'm like boiling. Marco's fucked off through everything, off in the treatment room, whatever. And I was sat in there raging. I've looked up and I've seen Cress with a smile on his face, and I went, "Fuck you looking at?" He went, "Mate, you." But like it just broke the ice. I thought I wanted to go mad at him, but he was just laughing after, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to get him back for that.
How tense does the dressing room get? Like, does it ever boil over to scraps and that, or not?
Yeah, loads of times.
Does it?
Yeah, loads, but it's like you get to that level for a reason, Jack. You know, because like, and winning is massive. And there was times where we didn't play so well, so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna normally have a go at someone that's probably played well, and I know is gonna have a go back at me. And sometimes you just do it for a reaction. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
Go Hart.
another fruitcake. Like Harty will tell you this. We was at training at the stadium and he was doing a shooting session, like just know where the coach pings it out, you have a touch to finish. And Deck was only, this was when, so Deck must have been like young, 19 at the time. And he's had a touch and his Deck's got a lovely strike on him and he's whipped one past Harty and he's gone, and Harty dived for it, didn't get it, and he's like, "Oh, Harty, one day, son," like that, right? Yeah, and Harty went, "Deck, you say that again, I'm going to beat the f*** out of you." Right, and so he's come back to Deck, he's missed one, and he's hit another one, he's gone in. And I said, "Go on, say it." And he went, "One day, Harty," like that, mate. And I swear to you, Harty has just left him, sprinted across the pitch. Dex took off down the tunnel. He chased him the whole way around London Stadium, like all the way down. Yeah, got him and beat him up. But it was like that. Harty was mad, mate. But he was like such a
brilliant. You've got some good Harty stories, haven't you?
Harty's a tank.
He's
Some damage.
Yeah, Harty's so
muscle.
strong, mate. Honestly, so strong. But I played with him young England age groups and all that, and he's just like a top fella, but. He's mad. Like, they're all mad.
Energy to burn. He's got too much energy.
The thing is, Jack, with Dimmy is he come and no one really knew Dimmy. I knew of him, but he wasn't like,
I knew him from FIFA.
yeah,
That's about
yeah. So he come and I remember seeing him in training, thinking, fucking hell, like he's good, but you never know how he's going to react in the Prem. And then there was a game in Europe that he played, which he didn't play quite well or whatever. And then Arsenal away was our first game in the Prem that year. And we beat them 2-0.
That's when Reece Oxford had a worldie, wasn't it?
Yeah. I just thought, what a player. Like, I loved playing with him. We got on so well. He was brilliant. He was fantastic around the training ground with the lads. I mean, he was we loved him. Like, do you know what I mean? I actually said to him, "Dimmy, look, please, you just go and crack on. I'll do your running."
Oh, really?
Yeah, don't worry about all that.
Wow.
Me and Chaker will do that.
That's really interesting to hear what your boy's opinion of him was, because obviously a lot of fans are a bit tainted with the way it ended and stuff.
No.
Like.
Look, listen, like you got to understand. Obviously, like I think he's made it clear now that for family reasons he wanted to go back to Marseille, which. The only thing I was gutted about is that because we had such a good relationship, that he didn't come and say to me, "Mark, look, I've got to go home." Do you know what I mean? He just sort of, and I would never blame anyone for that because family's more important than anything. It was just so. I was just so gutted to see him go. Because,
was it just out of the blue for you then?
Yeah, just random. He just sort of he needed to get out, you know, like, and it's hard when you're that good to get out of a club because how do you let someone go that good?
Yeah,
so there's obviously, but he was for the short time that we had him, 18 months or whatever. It was just fucking. I just loved it.
That goal against Palace.
Yeah, but not only that, mate. Just what he used to do with a ball and. He was just phenomenal.
Yeah. We asked you your 5 best players you've played with. How about against?
Gerrard, Scholes, Lampard, Fabregas, Two-Guy.
Two-Guy? The Blackburn?
The player I was thinking about was De Bruyne.
Yeah, De Bruyne.
But look, listen, I could say David Silva, I could say Yaya Toure. Like,
it's a big pool to choose from, isn't it?
It's hard to ask me that question because I'm just going the ones when I first sort of broke through when I wasn't established. And you look at them like Two-Guy gave me an absolute lesson when I first come on the scene. I watched him in the warm up. He had his laces undone, his hair slicked back, just jogging about, and I thought I'm going to run all over this geezer today. Taught me a lesson, mate.
Did he?
Yeah, taught me a lesson.
Was he a striker?
No.
Midfielder?
Centre mid, yeah.
Was he?
This is something we found interesting. On the way up, we were talking about what normally when you ask this question to a footballer, if they're a defender, most of the time they'll say strikers.
Yeah.
We were wondering what someone in the middle would say.
Yeah, just other people in the middle.
You've chosen other players.
Yeah, mate. I could say like Cristiano Ronaldo, Ryan Giggs, Eden Hazard.
Yeah.
Aguero, you know, like I could say all these players, but I didn't actually personally. I did because I was on the same pitch, but like playing against these centre midfield players is just like
The ones you're properly going shoulder to shoulder with.
yeah.
Two guys, such a rogue shout that.
But that's because that's that the arse feeling he give me is that when you're young and arrogant and think you're the best.
Yeah.
He just taught me a lesson. He was a top footballer. Top.
And who's number one on your list then? Toughest opponent Mark Noble's ever played against? Gerrard. What a man.
We actually are quite a good team when we get playing, and then obviously the rest was history.
The moment it hit me, and when kind of from a Spurs perspective, it was like, right, there's a dislike now. Was I don't know if you played in the game or not, but do you remember when we apparently got poisoned?
Yeah,
with the
at
lasagna?
Upton Park. Yeah.
Last game of the season. You lot are in
Champions League.
Yeah, Arsenal. We've got Arsenal on the ropes. Obviously, we've just got to beat yourselves, and we're in the Champions League for the first time. And you lot had a cup final against Liverpool, and you put in the performance of a century, and I was like,
I think was it Cole Fletcher scored from 30 yards. It
was the game was what it was. I think we went 1-0 up. You ended up beating us. I remember, but it was this moment. I was sat in the dressing room, and Nobes, honestly, it was like 8, 9, 10 people just being sick everywhere. One's in the toilet, one's in the sink, and someone's in a bucket. Everyone's just being sick everywhere, and then all you could hear was the biggest party ever going on.
Do you know what? It's mad you say that, because till this day now, even retired after that, I've never spoke to a Spurs player about that day. Yeah. As in, obviously I heard that. Yeah. I've never heard someone say to me, do you know what, the boys were being sick. We just thought, but there was 1 or 2 players there.
It was the whole team.
What a shame.
Edgar was the only player, right, that was in, and he had a nightmare on the day. This is no joke. This actually happened. And I'm sat there next to Martin Yol as the game's going on, or just behind him. And he's turning around. You know, sometimes you can hear the manager talking about he's having one, this, that, and the other. And he's gone, right, let's take him off. So he's gone up to get the board up to take off Edgar. And Michael Carrick's come running over and gone, don't you dare. Like, I cannot last another second on this pitch. Like, get me off now. And so he's had to keep Edgar on and take. That's how bad, like, Carrick and, like, everybody else was. But it was just like, everyone's been sick. It was horrendous, honestly. And but it was the minute I heard that music and I could see what was going on, I was like, okay, something's ignited now in terms of this level. But it took that. Yeah,
it was. And I think, do you know what, Jay? Because I was obviously brought up as a West Ham fan and around loads of West Ham fans myself, they always ingrained in me that it was like, we've got to beat Spurs, we've got to beat Spurs. And I was like, all right, like, well, we'll try. But do you know what I mean?
Your story is like almost like one of a kind now. A one club man, grew up at West Ham as a kid. What's it been like going through them stages, the process of becoming a player at a club that you've been born at, you've supported since a baby?
Really, there's been times where it's obviously unbelievable, and there's been times where you sit at home and you want to cry because of you try so hard to affect everything, but sometimes it's out of your control. And when it's been going well, it's great because the club and it's such a big club and it's got such a great fan base. But when it's not going well and they're not happy, they'll let you know. And
he's not lying. He's not lying.
And when you're the captain of the football club, or even not, when you support the club and you're playing for a team that you grew up supporting as a kid, you have them extra feelings where you want to do so well for the supporters and even for the football club himself. But it has been tough at times. But I've always said, after a loss or a bad season, you lace up your boots and you go again, and you got to try and inspire the players around you to do the same as you. And it's been great the last 2 years, even though I haven't played as much. But it's for me, it's been an incredible time because you're winding down your career and you're seeing the boys play good football, and you're a part of that, part of a European campaign, which has been fantastic. So, but yeah, at times it's been tough.